This process is actually explained that a non-covalent interaction is actually defined as a type of structure that formed by a pure phospholipids. When we say phospholipids, it is actually a class of lipids whose molecule has a hydrophilic, which is the head of its structure, containing a phosphate group and two hydrophobic tails. Okay. When we say hydrophilic, the hydrophilic, it is actually love-bearing. In the structure of phospholipids, the head of it is actually water-soluble. And with the two tails of the structure of phospholipids, it is hydrophobic. When we say hydrophobic, not soluble in water. That is actually derived from another form of fats, which is called fatty acid. It also discusses here, or it also explains here, that in non-covalent interaction, it will be formed with the supramolecular structure. Yes, when we say supramolecular structure, it is basically a result of a various non-covalent interaction. Okay. And it said that in that process, it is actually can result with a different production, which is monolayers, micelles, and bilayers, and also vesicles. When we say micelles, of course, it is actually a lipid molecule that arrange themselves in spherical form in aqueous solution. So that is micelles. Micelles also made of the structure or composed of phospholipids with hydrophilic heads group, forming the outer shell. So that is actually the formation, or what are micelles made of. It is made of phospholipids, and by the interaction of non-covalent and supramolecular structure, it will result to the production of micelles, or bilayers, vesicles, and monolayers. Okay. Let's now go to the definition of lipids. It said that lipids may be regarded as organic substances, relatively insoluble in water and soluble in organic solvents. That actually make itself as an amphipathic. Okay, again, when we say amphipathic, it is used to describe chemical compound containing both polar or water soluble and non-polar or not water soluble. That is why lipids is amphipathic. It's actually said that potentially related to fatty acid and utilized by the living cells. So that is the definition of lipids. Again, lipids may be regarded as organic substances relatively insoluble in water but soluble in organic solvents, potentially related to a fatty acid and utilized by the living cell. So that is the definition of it. And the importance or the function of the lipids has its several, and one of it, they serve as a storage form of metabolic fuel because of the two compounds, which is actually fatty acid and triglycerol. Kanina, I've already mentioned this two term. We have fatty acid and triglycerol. That two term is very important in the process of the lipids, and that is actually why lipids can be functioned as a storage form of metabolic fuel because of these two compounds, the fatty acid and triglycerol. Aside from that, it said that they serve as a transport for metabolic fuel. Another terminology itself, we have fatty acid, triglyceride, and cholesterol ester. So this kind of compound can bring or can serve as a transport form of metabolic fuel. Why? Because of this free fatty acid, which is actually functions as a fatty acid that release and taking taken into most tissues of the body and used as a source of energy. So that is actually a free fatty acid. When we say triglycerol or triglyceride itself, it said that it is from it is derived from the glycerol and 3 fatty acid, or it is from the composition of the glycerol and 3 fatty acid. It is actually the main constituents of the body fat in humans and other vertebrates, as well as vegetable fat. So that is why it serves as a transport form of metabolic fuel, because it actually the constituent of body fat in humans or in other organisms. Aside from that, it mentioned the cholesterol ester or cholesterol ester. It is actually from the combination or from the bond formed by the ester and of course the cholesterol. What is actually the function of it? Okay, the main function of cholesterol, it is served as precursor in the formation of the bile acids and steroids hormone. Okay, cholesterol ester do with a long chain fatty acid linked to the hydroxyl group. Okay, when I say hydroxyl group, the carbon is actually attached with the hydrogen carbon. Okay, so that means it serves as a transport form of metabolic fuel. Okay, aside from that, it actually provides a structural component of membrane. So what are those membranes? We have phospholipid, glycolipids, galactolipids, and sphingolipids. We will discuss it one by one. When we say phospholipids, again, the heads of phospholipids is actually a hydrophilic one. When we say hydrophilic, loved by water, or you can mix it with water. And how about the two tails of it with the structure? It is actually hydrophobic. When I say hydrophobic, it is fear of water. So that is another membrane of the lipids, which is phospholipids. Aside from that, it mentioned a glycolipids. Okay, when we say glycolipids, it is essential constituent of cellular membranes with a high number of function. Number one, they may act receptor, which is very important in cell, and this is also responsible for specific cellular contact for signal or transduction. Okay, that is the function of glycolipids. It's also mentioned the term galactolipids. Okay, galactolipids, or the process, or it defines as a type of glycolipid whose sugar, of course, it came from galactose. Okay, they differ from